What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Ben on Sports. And as you can probably predict, this is another weekly preview and prediction series for the NASCAR Cup Series. Leaving San Diego Coronado Naval Air Base, the first ever time NASCAR does a road course there, and going to the last road course race of the season already in Sonoma. So let's get into some storylines going towards Sonoma in between this race week. Number one, Corey Heim with his first career win, and he's not even full time yet, makes the move on the current points champion Tyler Reddick, or if the season were to end the day, the points champion Tyler Reddick, late in that race to pick up a big win for Corey Heim. Some playoff drivers are probably happy because it means a full time driver did not win the race, but a good performance out of Corey Heim to get him the race win. Very exciting. He's going full time Cup racing next season. He has all the potential in the world. Dominate the Truck Series for a couple years, last year in particular, and is finally going to get the opportunity next season to show what he can do. Number two, Reddick and Heim. You heard me say it. They raced hard late. There's a little bit of controversy because Reddick kind of let up for a second to let Heim get back to first. I know some people don't like it, but they are racing teammate to teammate, and sometimes it's different between teammates. I mean, Reddick and Heim had completely checked out. Nobody was close to them, and nobody was going to catch them. And Heim made a nice move after Reddick blew a corner. Heim gets up next to him. They race clean, don't make contact, and Heim gets around Reddick, and then Reddick comes back and gets into Heim. And unfortunately, it ran Heim really high towards the wall, almost hits the wall. But Reddick does what he says is the right thing to do. He said that Heim didn't race him dirty when he passed him. He raced him clean, and Reddick lets him back around in order to kind of make up for the fact that Heim raced him clean, and he felt like he didn't race Heim clean. Say what you want. Some people are saying they want real racers, but this is the kind of driver Reddick is. Reddick usually tries to be a fair driver, tries to be a respectful driver. Some people like it, some people don't like it, but at the same time, they were teammates, and Heim winning the race doesn't really hurt anybody in the points race. Number three, Heim and Hocevar. Before Heim was able to get up to the front to make that pass on Reddick, a little bit before there was that last restart of the race, and Heim gets into Hocevar, spins him. Looks like the two, I don't know if it's real drama or fake drama, but the two have kind of been jokingly giving jabs back and forth on social media. Obviously, there's history between the two going back to the Truck Series when Hocevar wrecked Heim when Heim had a chance to win a championship in the last race. A lot of drama between those two, a lot of history between those two, and they're maybe two of the best and brightest upcoming young talents in NASCAR. So maybe we're seeing a budding rivalry that could take us through the next decade, something that I think NASCAR desperately needs. And you saw it rear its head in this race when Heim got in the Hocevar. I don't think it was necessarily intentional. I think it's one of those things where Heim wasn't necessarily trying to wreck Hocevar, but he also wasn't trying to race him nice either. He was racing him hard and not giving him a break, which, I mean, it was late in the race, right? But other than that, I don't think Heim was trying to say, as a part-time driver, I want to wreck Hocevar. I think it's just something that happened. The biggest thing of the race that I think happened, however, was Austin Hill causing that big wreck off the restart that took out many of the contenders. It took out Van Gisbergen and it took out Zilich. A couple of the other cars involved in it were guys like Ty Gibbs, and they sustained minor damage, had to get it fixed, and then come back out to the race. But what was he thinking, guys? I mean, he completely blows that corner and causes a massive pile up and takes out two of the big contenders, one of which is racing for his playoff life on a course that he gets most of his points at. So I don't know what Austin Hill is doing. He completely overdrove that corner and caused that wreck. Yeah, I don't know. That was a big moment in this race that took out some contenders, made some contenders go to the back with repairs, all kinds of craziness. Caused a red flag as well. And speaking of that wreck, SVG finishing in, I think, 38th or 37th, something like. He finished in the back. he is in big danger. He needed a big week last week, and he needs a big week this week on the course, on 2 road courses, things that he dominates. He needed big points days so he could increase his gap to the playoff cut line on points. And unfortunately for him, because of that wreck, he was not able to do so this week, and now he is, and he's going to have a really good oval race or two, I think, to make it now. I think that wreck on the road course is going to make things much more difficult for him. 23XI was pretty fast. At one point, they had 4 cars in the top 5, and until Tyler Reddick had that tire issue late, they were 1, 2, and 3. Obviously, Kyle Larson got around Bubba Wallace, so it would have been just 1, 2, and it ended up being 1, 3. But all 4 23XI cars were fast, and I love looking at racing analytics at the end of the race when they compile your best average lap. They compiled to see who has the best average speed by looking at the optimal laps that people ran, and 23XI was essentially, I think, all 4 cars in the top 5. They were all fast. They all had good days. Reddick's could have been better. Again, had that tire issue like that really lost him a lot of spots because he had a flat tire. But yeah, just 23XI was pretty darn fast. I think they definitely bought the best race cars this weekend. No wonder they ended up winning this race. Something that we've seen a lot this year with 23XI and Toyota in particular. And lastly, don't forget to fill out your bracket. The NASCAR in-season tournament starts this week. Drivers were seeded 1 through 32 based off the point standings before San Diego. So if you look at the seeding and it doesn't match up with the current playoff standings or regular season standings, that would be why. It was before the San Diego race, and the first round is this weekend. Road courses can throw a wrench in the thing, and the fact that Atlanta or Echo Park Speedway is also one of the playoff rounds should also mean for some big upsets as well. The drivers are seeded 1 through 32. Again, big in-season tournament. Make sure you fill out your bracket for NASCAR. The in-season challenge is kind of interesting, and I know drivers like Ryan Preece have already done a good job of promoting it. And Ryan Preece has been making me laugh because he's up against FVG at a road course, and he started this week making jokes and actually would have beaten him this week on a road course. So it's led to some good content from the drivers as well. Moving on from storylines, let's look at the history at Sonoma. This is not since 2023. It is since 2022 in the Next Gen era. Recent winners. Daniel Suarez, back when he was with Trackhouse, won the first race here in the Next Gen era. Martin Truex, now retired in the 19, won the second race here in June of 2023. Kyle Larson won this June of 2024. And then last year, Shane Van Gisbergen dominated this race and won it quite easily in his first try at Sonoma. That means 1 Toyota win from a retired driver and no Ford wins in 4 races. So this could definitely shape up to be a Chevy type of day. Best average finish, Michael McDowell with an average finish of 4 in 4 races. Chase Elliott, average finish of 5. Chris Buescher with an average finish of 6.3. Those 3 guys have the pretty darn good stats at this track. And then the next 2 guys have an average finish outside the top 10, with Ross Chastain at 11.5 and AJ Allmendinger at 12.3. If you're wondering why Shane Van Gisbergen isn't there, it's because he's only raced 1 time, and I don't think it's fair for you to have your name on best average finish after 1 race when everybody else has raced 4 times. Most top 5s in the Next Gen era. 3 drivers have finished top 5 3 times in 4 races. Michael McDowell, Chase Elliott, and Chris Buescher. Some of the usual names in the Next Gen era to be good at road courses. And then 8 drivers are tied at 1 top 5. Meaning there's only 3 drivers with multiple top 5s here. But those 8 drivers are Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Austin Cindric, Ross Chastain, Daniel Suarez, Chase Briscoe, Shane Van Gisbergen, and Joey Logano. Most top 10s. 2 drivers have finished top 10 every single race here in the Next Gen. That is Michael McDowell and Chase Elliott. 3 drivers have 3 top 10s. Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, and Ross Chastain. And then 6 drivers are tied at 2 top 10s. AJ Allmendinger, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano, Tyler Reddick, and William Byron. So a lot of the names you expect to see at road courses have performed well here. Favorites to win Sonoma, it's still Trackhouse. They were up front last week. Obviously, the wreck changed things. Chastain still had a good finish. Trackhouse Racing, I think, is the favorite to win this week. 23XI, with how fast they look last week at a road course, I don't put anything by them. They also have some guys that are pretty good road course racers, so I think 23XI should be fast. Joe Gibbs Racing has the only non-Chevy win. They were fast here last year. Gibbs was fast. Bell was fast. Chase Briscoe finished second. I was looking back at some of the racing analytics I mentioned before from last year, just to see. And, that 19 team won in 2023, and then last year in 2025, Briscoe with the second place finish, and Shane Van Gisbergen was head and shoulders above everybody like normal, but Briscoe was pretty dominant as the second place car, pretty dominant over the field as well. It was just Shane Van Gisbergen was that much better. So maybe Joe Gibbs Racing still finds some speed. They still have some good road course racers there. Hendrick Motorsports 4, I think their grip on road courses is starting to slip. Historically, they've had guys like Jeff Gordon dominate. They had Chase Elliott dominate for a while. Kyle Larson and William Byron can win on road courses, even Alex Bowman. But this year, there has not been consistent speed for Hendrick Motorsports at road courses. They did win here in 2024. Can they find some of that speed? I think they'll be okay. And then Spire Motorsports, just on the back of Michael McDowell alone, but Daniel Suarez has a win in this track. Hocevar, I think, has road course promise. He just can't put together a whole race. That's really his issue, not inability to race on a road course. You saw it again last week. But I have Spire as my fifth team, and then RFK deserves a shout. Ryan Preece, like I said, I think is slightly above average. Busher is very good at this track and on road courses, and Brad Keselowski is not very good, and that's why Spire Motorsports has a better chance at all three drivers being competitive than RFK does, which is why I give Spire the nod. Driver rankings, Shane Van Gisbergen is my favorite yet again this week for, I think, very understandable reasons. Won this race last year, very good on road courses. Tyler Reddick, I have number 2. He historically hasn't been fast here, even with Toyota, but he's a good road course racer. He's been competitive at all 3 road courses this season, and I think it's no different this week. I think Tyler Reddick is up there. 23XI seems to always bring a fast car. Toyota seems to just be faster than Chevy and Ford this year in general. Tyler Reddick is my second favorite. Ty Gibbs had a good run here last year. Had a good run at Watkins Glen this year. Had a good run last week, even after getting wrecked running through the field. I think Ty Gibbs is a real contender this week. Michael McDowell, I have 4th. He's very good at this track. He needs some points. Had just an okay week last week. McDowell, this is going to be his best chance to get stage points and have a top 5 finish. He needs to convert on that this week. Chase Elliott, pretty good here, was very, very slow last week, so I felt like I should bump him down. Wait a minute. That wasn't supposed to be Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott, I have 7th. I forget who my top 10 was. It's not in my notes. I just realized I have Chase Elliott down twice. My apologies. Kyle Larson was supposed to be 5. I was thinking Hendrick Motorsports, and I wrote down Chase Elliott twice instead of writing down Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson is my 5th favorite. Had a good run last week. Drove all the way up to 3rd. Is a previous winner at Sonoma. Kyle Larson, I think, has 4 top 5s the last 5 weeks, so they're heating up. They still haven't won a race. Maybe this is the week Kyle Larson figures it out. But yeah, I think Kyle Larson, he's who I meant to put 5. My apologies for that. But Kyle Larson, my 5th favorite at Sonoma. Number 6, I have Chase Briscoe. They need some points. They're slowly ticking their way up. They're up to 10th in the point standings. They're trying to get to that next group above them and continue to put space below them. They were very good here last year. The 19 team has always been good at Sonoma going back to the Martin Truex days. They didn't have a great week last week. I think they should be ready to go this week. Toyota's been fast. Chase Briscoe, I like as well. Then Chase Elliott in 7. He has good numbers, but they were very slow on a road course last week, which is concerning to me, so I bumped him down a couple spots. Chris Buescher, it always feels unfair to have him this low. He's going to find a way to a top 5 finish. I just don't know if he's going to find his way to a win. I think it's more likely some of these other guys have winning speed, but I think Chris Buescher has a very good points day. and continues to just have a solid year without bad days. Ryan Blaney was very fast here last year. He had some speed last weekend in San Diego. Ryan Blaney's really starting to find his road course chops, and I think has become underrated as a road course racer. He's third in points and trying to catch up to the top two. He's going to need a good week to stay on pace with them. And then this might be the last time I put this guy down on the list, but for now I'm putting Connor Zilic. He's ran fast laps and has proven he has speed at all three road courses, but there's been something that's going wrong. They just need to have a clean race, and I think that they can show their road course prowess. But Connor Zilic, again, was up front when that wreck happened. It was not his fault. It was Austin Hill's fault, completely wiping him out. But I'm going to leave Connor Zilic on the list, but at number 10, because he's supposed to be a road course guy, and they can't put together a good race as a team, and that is concerning to me. Let me know in the favorites below who your favorite is, who you like this weekend, and who you think will have a good week at Sonoma. Regular season standings, my colors are still there. The only change in my colors is that I put Bubba Wallace with Bell, Byron, and Briscoe, because I think those are four guys that have either have proven they can be a champion or have championship pace this year, or a combination of the two, that just need to get closer to the top six. I think this purple group is probably better on a week-to-week race basis than the green group, or at least they should be. And I gave Bubba Wallace that purpley pink group. It's really a matter, can this pink group run down this green group, or they don't really have a chance at winning a title. Yellow is still my favorites, the guys that are head and shoulders above everybody. Tyler Reddick in first, Denny Hamlin in second. It's those two. Denny Hamlin, after Reddick had that tire issue, got a whole bunch of extra points on Tyler Reddick, and there's now just an 8-point difference between Reddick and Hamlin. Continues to shrink. Ryan Blaney is in this orange group. He starts the orange group, but he's kind of by himself in third. He's 133 back of Reddick, 125 back of Hamlin. He did gain points on both of them this week, quite a bit, I might add. But he's 47 up on Larson in fourth, so he's kind of by himself, but he's still in this orange group. And those are guys that have been fast, have a lot of points, but haven't been quite as good as Reddick and Hamlin because they've been so dominant, but they're good enough to win a championship. They've been consistent this year, and that's what's important. So you have Ryan Blaney kind of by himself in third. And then in fourth, fifth, and sixth is Larson, Gibbs, and Elliott. And Larson is at 536, Gibbs is at 535, and Elliott is at 534. So they're all 1 point and separated it from fourth to fifth to sixth. Anything can happen with any week. All three of those guys are pretty good on the road courses as well. So maybe they can also chip into this massive, their big trailing deficit. All of them, they're 180, 181, and 182 back of Reddick. The important thing for them, though, is just staying around this top five, trying to be in the top five for when the playoffs start and the points are reset. Numbers, and then into the green group, Buescher at 500, Suarez at 478, Hocevar at 476. These are guys that I think are having solid seasons, maybe with teams you don't expect to see running in the top 10 on points. Like, they're ahead of some very big names. You're ahead of two Hendrick cars, really one Hendrick car, two Joe Gibbs racing cars. You're ahead of a 23XI car. Like, Buescher, Suarez, and Hocevar are having very good seasons in 7th, 8th, and 9th. But it's these last 2 months of the regular season, can they stay ahead of some of these bigger teams that are going to be knocking down their door and put themselves in a much better position once the playoffs start? That's really the question for those guys. We'll see what happens. Then we're into this purple group, which I kind of explained as guys that can win a championship, but they've had some bad weeks, or they've had a lot of DNFs, a lot of wrecks, a lot of crazy stuff happen to them. You know, you think Christopher Bell now with a broken wrist, that's going to hurt his performance. It hurt his performance last week, not being able to drive. And then I think Brent Cruz, I know what they said on the broadcast, but it looked a heck of a lot like, to me, he blew the transmission himself, because it looked like he was used to the H pattern and was thinking H pattern when he should have been thinking sequential. That's just me, though, and what I saw happen inside the car. So that hurt Bell's points, and you know, it's hard to drive on a road course with a broken wrist, and Bell will be trying to do that again this weekend, so maybe have a driver on reserve ready again. William Byron just with another rough day. But all four of these cars have the potential, but they have to start moving up the points. If you're outside the top 10, if you're 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th, like Briscoe, Wallace, Bell, and Byron are, you're not going to have a chance to race for a championship. You need to be in the top 10. You need to try and make it to the top 6. But they're 100 points back of that group that's in the top 6. But they're only 40, 50 points back of this group in green, and that's what is the most important, in my opinion, for them. Then you have the red group, which is what I'm calling the bubble. Allmendinger can maybe join it this week. McDowell's right behind Allmendinger. Both of those guys are very good on road courses, so maybe it grows. But I'm not expecting those guys to have consistent speed on ovals. So everybody I have highlighted in red is what I think this bubble is going to be made up of. And you can see it's 6 drivers and only 3 of them will get in. Right now, Eric Jones had a solid day. He actually gained on a couple of guys. Eric Jones at 372 in 14th, Cindric at 370 in 15th, and Preece winning a stage had a fantastic day to get back up to 16th. He's in the playoffs at 367. Van Gisbergen was 14th in points coming into this race and fell all the way to 17th on a road course. That's borderline catastrophic for SVG. He's out of the playoffs right now with only 1 road course race left. He's at 362. Joey Logano had an okay day, but he's still on the outside looking in at 357. And Brad Keselowski at 354. This group is going to get crazy. It's 6 drivers separated by 18 points. All 3 of them need to start putting points in the bag. Everybody here except Logano and Keselowski is a solid road course racer, but I would say Logano and Keselowski, or Eric Jones isn't a great road course guy either, but then Logano and Keselowski are former champions and very, very good at like all of the other type of tracks, so you would expect them to start pointing up as well. I think it's going to be absolute chaos with these guys. And while Allmendinger is only 8 points back of Brad Keselowski and only 21 points back of the playoff cut line, I think he'll have a good week, but I think after Sonoma, I would expect to see him start to drop back a little bit because he just hasn't. He has some good races, but he hasn't consistently shown speed on many of the oval tracks, especially some of the ones we have left. And finally, the power rankings. Denny Hamlin and Tyler Reddick stay 1-2 because, as I say, they're head and shoulders above everybody else. Blaney had a good week, leading some laps, winning a stage, cut down the gap between him and Hamlin and Reddick. Ryan Blaney kind of by himself in 3rd. Larson with a fantastic day. I move Larson up to 4th. I keep Buescher in 5th. I move Buescher up after Buescher had a good points day and had a top 10. So Larson and Buescher joining the top 5. Ty Gibbs stays in 6th place. He got passed by Buescher, but he also passed Elliott, so he stays in 6th. Just could have been a better day if he didn't get involved in that accident, but found a way to salvage an okay points day. He's still okay on points. Chase Elliott, maybe the worst road course performance I've ever seen Chase Elliott have last week. That was not a great day for Chase Elliott at all. He's down to 7th on the power rankings. Hocevar had an okay, or Suarez is an 8th. Had an 11th place finish. Again, just another solid day. I feel like Suarez is good at putting solid days together. Hocevar 9th. Led some laps, showed speed, had some points, then got spun by Heim and recovered to have, I think, a top 20. I think he finished 20th. So it's just an okay day for Hocevar. That could have been much better. He showed glimpses of speed. He needs to put together a whole road course race. Bubba Wallace with a really good day, top 5. Great points day. He's almost back into the top 10 after falling from 2 to 15 in points. He's almost back in the top 10, has had a couple good weeks back to back. Can he continue his momentum at Sonoma? Briscoe to 11th. Just an okay day. I think their strategy got messed up like some of the other people that were on their pit strategy. But just an okay day. Had a top 20. He's 10th in points. That's whatever. Can he get the momentum back at Sonoma? William Byron in 12th, a very bad day for them, which is why they're sliding to the back of the group that I have him in. Same with Christopher Bell, not a last place finish, even worse than William Byron, and Christopher Bell is hurt. So how does that injury affect him moving forward? As long as he starts the race, it's his points. but switching drivers out takes a good amount of time. Eric Jones is 14th in my power rankings. That's where he is on points. Points wise, he ended up okay. Not that Eric Jones was great. He kind of flirted around the top 20 most of the day. The back half of the top 20 sometimes fell out of it. But he did enough points wise when a lot of the people around you are wrecking or having bad days. He did a good enough job to stay with the pace on points, and he's 14th now. Ryan Preece with a very good day, had some good stage points, ran up front for a while, had a good point day. Preece is up to 15th. Shane Van Gisbergen down to 16th after a DNF due to somebody else wrecking, but absolutely catastrophic for him and what he needs point wise at these road courses. Austin Cindric at 17th. I'm not ready to drop Van Gisbergen below him yet, but it could happen. Cindric, another guy that just had a solid day. Didn't make any mistakes, and with how many mistakes were made on Sunday, sometimes that's all it takes. Logano just kind of rode around, had it, and figured out a way to not hurt himself on points. When you're not a good road course racer, sometimes that's all you can hope for is to not hurt yourself. Logano with a solid day, only 18th in my power rankings, but somebody that could rise quickly. AJ Allmendinger had a great day, stage points, good finish, got him back closer to the points cutoff line. And same thing with Michael McDowell. Brad Keselowski notably falling out of the top 20. He's on a super cold stretch and in back-to-back road courses. That is not good for him. But McDowell and Allmendinger both had a good point day. Allmendinger more than McDowell. And they're both, if they can have another good week this week, could find themselves right near that playoff cut line. That's all I have for you, talking about a very interesting week at San Diego. I thought the road course was interesting and fun. I don't know if NASCAR will do it again. Let me know how you thought the race went, just from a track perspective, not necessarily for how people race it or anything, but it was a cheese grater for a while at the track. I do think it was cool. It was cool to see the water in the background, to see the ships, to see all the military equipment. You're racing on a runway for part of it. It's different surfaces. I think it's a very, very difficult challenge for a lot of the drivers and teams. And they definitely all got better. I mean, they're running better laps during the race than they were in qualifying and practice as they figured it out. So, very interesting weekend. I really like what NASCAR attempted. I don't think the course was that bad. It was very, very big. It was over 3 miles, which is why caution laps took so long. So maybe if they go back, we shorten the race. But overall, I think it was a positive thing for NASCAR. It was a positive experience. Good job on Corey Heim picking up his first career win and finding his way through the chaos. That's all I have for you this week. Make sure you find a couch and watch some sports this weekend. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family. Like, comment, and subscribe. Peace out.